Do you have any mop bucket wheels like this? They're basically jammed up and won't roll. You might leave scuff marks on the floor if someone drags a mop bucket around. And it's also, with that drag, can cause someone pulling the bucket by a mop handle to tip the bucket over and you lose all your chemicals on the floor. Just doing a quick video of what I do. Took a wheel that was just like that a couple minutes ago, and now it works like that. These are kind of expensive. I didn't want to buy new ones just because they were crudded up. So here's what I do. You're pulling these out. The best thing to do is get the wheel to come out with this little plastic cuff. Most of the time that happens, you can see all these buckets here have the wheels removed. Sometimes the plastic cuff remains in there and you wind up with just this part that you can put back in there. But what I wanted to tell you is there's a ball bearing down inside that cuff, and you'll lose it if you flip the bucket back over, and you want to have that in there. It lets the wheel turn easily. So if you pull them out and that black thing stays in, make sure you get that bearing. To start, you may be able to just loosen this nut. However, what's holding this bolt in place is a square hole and a square flange. If you're using too much force, it'll just turn around inside this plastic. I'll show you in a moment. So you may need to use a pair of pliers to hold this side while you loosen the nut. Depending on how crudded up it is, you may be able to just push this bolt out, but you may not. Find something with a gap like that so you can tap it with a hammer to get that to come out. So here's the problem I found that no matter of cleaning without disassembling this will ever get rid of. There's not only hair, but a thick layer of probably detergent, dander, other crud built up on this bolt, which serves as the axle. Also, you can see here at the top this square flange. This is what rides or slides inside of this square hole. If that hole is not worn down, that allows you to loosen the nut as this holds the bolt still. I've cleaned these about 3 times, and that square hole is kind of wearing out, and if you grab the nut and turn it, it just slips. That's why I used the pliers earlier. You should be able to use any drill with the chuck. I happen to have a tabletop drill. What you're going to do is insert the bolt just partly into the chuck, and I will have to do that with the camera off because I don't have 2 hands free. Now that it's secured in there, what I found is there is no chemical that cleans this off. You might try a wire brush. I actually use some 100 grit sandpaper. Turn this on, and with 2 hands, normally I'm holding this here and just riding it on the bolt. So here's what it looks like afterwards. There's the amount of crud that came off from one bolt. You probably want to clean off the inside of this plastic too. Some sandpaper, or it might clean off with something else. Alright, so put it back together. Put the bolt through the square side first. Reattach the nut. And just a wee bit better after all of that. This will help from any scuffing that you're getting on the floor from the wheels dragging, and it also makes it far less likely that dragging by the mop handle will tip the bucket over and you'll wind up with your chemicals all over the floor. Hope that's helpful. Let me know if you have any questions. Who doesn't like well-oiled mop bucket wheels?